My grandmother was a psychic medium. My mom is a psychic medium. I'm a psychic medium. Grandma kept it a secret, right?
Yes, back in the 50s, this was taboo. If you started telling people you see visions and you hear voices in your head, well, either A, you're cuckoo, or B, you were satanic. Me, as a little girl, soon as I got in bed, the room came alive. Voices. I used to hear voices in the newspapers. There was little advertisements this big, and it would say psychic mediums meeting, like in an abandoned building, and you would go. And
was it scary? Were you scared to go?
I was petrified.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Undeniable Proof of Life After Death. I'm Matt Fraser, and today I have a very special guest. It's a guest that so many of you have been asking for. It is my mom, Angela.
Hi. Thank you, Matt, for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. And let me tell you something. My mom, literally made me put her on this podcast. My mother was like, you got to have me on. I want to be on the podcast. I want to be on the podcast. Can you believe you're here?
Yes. And I love it. It's just beautiful here.
My mother just asked me if she could have these chairs for her house.
I want these chairs. These are the most comfortable chairs. Oh my, and the pillow. I love everything.
You can't have these chairs look like they came from Dubai. They got gold on them. You can't have these in your living room.
Why? They're nice.
Anyway, you guys, I wanted to have my mom on because my mom is also a psychic medium. This is what I talk about all the time, is that my gift has come from my mom, and my mom actually got her gift from my grandmother. So what's really crazy about this is that my grandmother was a psychic medium. My mom is a psychic medium. I'm a psychic medium, but we all have completely different gifts.
Exactly. So my mother, she would read cards. She made her own set of tarot cards.
And you guys, take a look at this. I don't know if you can see this. If you are listening right now, my grandmother took a plain set of tarot, playing cards. And my grandmother actually made her own. So these, we actually have in studio right now, my grandmother's tarot cards that are how old?
Oh my God. She made these when I was 6 years old, and I'm 68. So there's many years. But yeah, so when I was a little girl, she made these for me. So
grandma was psychic.
Yes.
And then you got that gift, but grandma was completely, and by the way, you guys, my grandmother passed when I was 3 years old.
Yes.
So I don't really know much about her. I know about her psychic gift, I should say.
Right. So,
I know more from you and from these cards that were handed down, little keepsakes that my grandmother had. But what was it that grandma did? What was her abilities?
Her abilities was really, she got visions. When she would meet somebody, she would instantly know what was going on in their life. Okay. Whether it was a voice in her head or she just seen, flashes of their life, but she knew what was going on in everybody's life. Okay. When she met them. Plus, she used to read, she made her own set of cards, and she used to read cards. That's what she did.
Grandma kept it a secret, right?
Yes, because my mother, back in the 50s, in the 1950s, the 1960s, even the early 70s, this was taboo, especially if you were Catholic. You couldn't, if you started telling people you see visions and you hear voices in your head and you see the departed, well, either A, you're cuckoo, or B, you were satanic, because the church did not allow anything of this nature. So everything was kept very, behind closed doors and in curtains.
So how did grandma keep this a secret for so long? Because I know you told me, but then when we had to, years later growing up, right? Just fast forward, when I first started doing this publicly, and then my own grandfather, which was my grandmother's husband, found out.
Right.
He had no idea that grandma was even a medium. So how did she keep this a secret for so long?
We never talked about it. We never talked about it in front of my dad. Never, ever.
Did she tell you not to talk about it in front of Poppy?
Oh, yeah. She threatened me with my life. We did not discuss it. In fact, whenever we used to do anything, and this started from when I was 6 years old. So whenever like she would have people come to the house, and it was mostly family, friends, neighbors, okay? They would come like crying and, call her on the telephone. Oh, I'm having, an issue. I don't know what to do. My mother would say, come on over. We'll figure it out. And they would come over and my mother would be putting the curtains, closing the curtains and stuff. And she'd make the coffee and she'd have coffee and snacks and she would have these cards. Okay. So then she would say they would talk and then she would say, okay, close your eyes, close your eyes. And the person would close their eyes and my mother would sit there and she just start rattling off. Okay, so this person is giving you a hard time. They're cheating. They're having, or sometimes they weren't cheating. Sometimes they had mental issues, and she would tell them about this person's life and why this person was going through this issue with this person. She just knew. And me, as a little girl, she would have the tea, right? And I'd be sitting there because I was an only child. I was always with my mother. Whatever my mother was doing, I was right there. So I would hear these things. And as she would be saying these things, I would be looking in my tea and I would go and I would see things in my tea leaves. And I'd go, oh, yeah. And you know what? You're going to be meeting this guy and this is what he looks like. And this guy has a dog and the dog looks like this. And I would be saying things that I saw in my tea leaves. So that's how basically it started.
But did she get mad at that? Or was she like, what do you see?
Oh, no, she used to stand at attention and go ahead, tell her what you see. Tell her what you see. My mother never got mad. She encouraged me. But what happened was I could do that, yeah. But then, and everything was okay because my mother was there. But at night, when I had to go to bed, oh my God, I was terrified. I would go in my room and soon as I got in bed, the room came alive. Voices. I used to hear voices. And what it sounded like was not one voice. It was a lot of voices. It was as though I was at a party and everybody standing around talking at once. You would hear laughter. You would hear one person shouting over another person. But you couldn't really understand what one person was saying because there was a lot of them. But as this was going on, I could not move in my bed. My body would be like this, and it was like I was being held down. I couldn't move a muscle. I couldn't move a finger. I couldn't speak. If I tried to yell, Ma, Ma, I couldn't talk. Because these voices, these spirits, they wanted my undivided attention, and I don't know how come my body wouldn't move. My eyes were open. I could see, so I was not sleeping, okay? And I was terrified. It was a frightening experience. And this happened every night when I went to bed. So naturally, when I was young, I had to have the lights on. I would not be in the dark. I had to have a radio on to drown out whatever it was that I was hearing. Okay. And I would tell my mother, I would say, Ma, I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to sleep. I'm afraid of the room. And she used to come in the room and go, what's wrong with the room? We had crosses up. We had angels up. We had the rosary beads up. I wore a cross. I mean, my mother used to go, no one's going to hurt you. There's nothing to be afraid of. Oh, no, I'm afraid. The voices. And my mother always used to say to me, don't be afraid. No one's going to hurt you. If it's the departed that are talking to you, they're your grandparents, which I never met because my grandparents were both gone before I was even born. They're not going to hurt you, Angela. Oh, well, that didn't go over too big. I was afraid. Then she started in the 60s, in the newspapers. Back then, everybody read the newspaper. There was little advertisements this big. And it would say psychic mediums meeting, like in an abandoned building.
What? So you used to say like psychic medium meeting?
Yeah. And you would go. And
was it scary? Were you scared to go?
I was petrified.
But wait, so they used to say it's almost like meetup. Like now we have meetup.com. Like, so it was like what, a classified?
It was classified ads. That's what it was.
Was that like I remember, like, not that I remember, I never seen a classified ad, but like I hear like now, like people talking about like they used to be like man looking for woman, like a hutch for sale. Was it like things like
that? It was this big. Look, the ad was this big, and it would say psychic mediums, having a meeting. Like, let's say,
psychic mediums having a. This sounds so weird to me.
Yeah,
so psychics and medium, psychic medium meeting.
Yeah, and
do they call it psychic mediums back then?
Yeah, and it would be like at the different like mills, like the factory, the old factory buildings. Okay, and it was a room. Oh my God! You used to walk into this room. The room was as big as this. Okay, a small room. And there would be, the old wooden chairs.
Yes.
Yeah. So they would be in a circle.
How many people attended these meetups?
Oh, not many. If you had 8, you were lucky. And they were mostly women at that time.
Mm-hmm.
These women look like witches. That's the only way I could. I mean, now remember, I was 6 years old.
Were they young? Were they old?
No, they were old. And you remember, a 6-year-old, a 30-year-old person was old.
Oh, right?
Okay, so I don't know if they were older than that or what.
Wait a minute, I'm 30 years old. Don't say that to me, but okay.
Right. And they were all dressed in black, okay, and no makeup on, no nothing, and they would sit in a circle. So my mother would walk in and give her name and this and that.
Did you give your full name?
Yeah, and they were very nice people, right? And my mother would say, I'm taking my daughter here because.
But wait. Was this in Providence or was this in Cranston? Like, where was this?
There was some held in Providence, some held in Pawtucket, and sometimes we used to go to Boston, Tremont Street. Okay. So we used to make our rounds. Okay. So and it was only me and my mother, not my father. Me and my mother. And we never talked about it to my father. And she would say, Angela, come sit in the circle and listen to what these women have to say. Now, when we would sit in the circle, they would all be talking and they would give readings to each other. Okay. Now, the way they gave readings to each other was they would you would give her your comb and she would hold your comb, or she would hold a pen. Like they had to hold an object of yours. So, and I would be sitting there and I'm watching this and I'm listening to what they had to say. And they would say to me, little girl, come sit in the middle over here. And they put my chair in the middle. And they would say, you can do this. And I said, oh, I don't know. And they would say, here, hold this. And one woman gave me a lipstick tube to hold. And I held her lipstick tube. And she goes, so do you see anything? Do you hear anything? And I would go, oh, I don't know. My mother would go, Angela, just tell her what you see. Just tell her. Anything that comes to your mind, tell her. And I would go, oh, well, I see you were crying the other day. And the woman would go, oh, well, yeah, but why? And I would say, oh, you're very sad. Someone's not feeling well around you. And I would say, but they're going to be okay. God's taking care of them. You don't have nothing to worry about. And it would be different things. And they would kind of draw it out of me. Don't be afraid to say what you see, hear, and feel.
Did they validate you?
Oh, yeah. They used to always validate. And then they would talk to me and my mother would say, Angela, you're not afraid to say these things here in this circle. Why are you afraid when you're home? Because my mother didn't know how to help me. She wanted to show me that, in other words, I wasn't the only one feeling like this. And she didn't know how to make me see we're not the only ones. There's a lot of people getting these feelings and hearing things and whatnot. So the women would say to me, well, Angela, what goes on with you? What do you hear? What do you see? And I go, well, sometimes I'll be playing in the house and I hear my name being called. And I go, what? And my mother would go, I didn't call you, but I was hearing a voice. Because the voices always come in a voice that you are familiar with. Because they don't want to scare you. It could be your grandmother. It could be, your uncle. But they're going to come in a voice that you're familiar with. So I would hear the voices. I would hear my name being called. Then I would tell them how when I went to bed, I felt as though I was being held down. I couldn't move a muscle. I couldn't even call anybody. And then the lights would flicker on and off in my room. Sometimes a book would fall on the floor. Sometimes a picture would fall on the floor. I mean, come crashing, bam, you know. And that's how come my mother would run in the room. Not because I called her, because something fell in the room and she would come to see what the noise was in the room. And they would tell me, no, don't be afraid. That's the spirits. They're trying to get through to you. They want you to help them. Well, and I used to say to them, well, how can I help them? Like, what can I do? Well, you can give a message to somebody for them. Maybe like their cousin. Maybe their friend. Maybe their mom. Maybe their dad. They want you to give a message to somebody for them. That's why they're coming to you. They want you to be able to help the people that are living. That's why they're coming to you. And I used to sit there and go, oh, okay. I'm only 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You got to process this stuff, right? And then we would go home. And my mother, she used to tell me, well, Angela, you see things in the tea leaves, but maybe you could see things in the cards. Maybe the cards could help you. And I used to go, well, Mommy, I don't know. I don't know if I can read the cards. I mean, she'd go, yes, this is how you do it. And she would say, see, the way you see things in the tea leaves, right? You can do the same thing with the cards. So what you would do
So explain to people, like, how do you go and see things in tea leaves? Like what was that like to do a reading in it for a tea leaf?
Well, I don't know, Matthew. I used to drink.
No, like explain the process, because like people have never. So a lot of people who are listening probably have never heard of coffee reading, right, or a tea leaf reading.
So after you drink your tea, right?
Or coffee.
Sometimes there's the grounds that stay on the bottom. When I would look at these grounds, I would see symbols, like I would see a cat, or I would see a dog, I would see a tree, I would see a ring. I don't know what I'm going to see. Or I see people. I could describe a person to you from looking at. I could see if you had a miscarriage because I would see the baby in the cup. I would see if you were gifted because I would see a witch's hat. That to me is a symbol of, psychicness, a witch's hat. I would see these things and I would say, oh, Mommy, I see a cat. And my mother would start telling me what it means. Oh, when you see a cat, that means someone's, jealous of you,
So she was putting like a meaning to the symbols.
Right. Because I didn't know what the hell it meant. I was 6 years old. So every time I would see something, she would tell me, oh, Angela, you see a bird? Birds mean news. Now, if the bird is chirping, that's happy news because you see the bird is happy. But if you see the bird in the cup and it's going like this, like with the other birds, like, the wings like hitting each other, that the news is going up. There's someone's fighting with somebody. There's an argument there. If you see a blackbird, that's bad news. That means nothing good is going to happen. Whatever news they're waiting for, bad news. And then so she would tell me about the different symbols, like the tree meant life. And because the tree, the branches branch out and the leaves form on the trees and sometimes flowers. So that's life. It's the tree of life. And she would just take the time out and explain things to me as I'm getting older. This wasn't like a one-time thing. This was every day. I would smell things. Sometimes I'd be sitting in the kitchen and I would smell flowers. And I go, Ma, I smell flowers. Oh, my God, these smell. And she'd go, oh, my God, that's funeral flowers. Someone's going to get ill and pass.
So let me ask you, did Grandma ever predict something for you or predict things that really freaked you out?
Yeah. Oh, all the time.
Oh, really? You never shared that with me?
Yes. Well, okay. So when I got older and I met your dad, okay, he was in the service, okay, and when I met him, we dated. He was being in the Navy. He was always out to sea. So I met your father, and we dated 2 months. He was stationed in Rhode Island. I met him at a club, and we dated for 2 months straight. Okay. Then, of course, he got stationed in Florida. But that wasn't the problem, him being in Florida. The problem was he was out to sea.
Mm-hmm.
And back then, they did not have cell phones. There was no FaceTiming. There was letters. And letters would take a couple of months for him to get it, like, because he would be in Italy, Spain, all over the place. So, and I would sit home and go, Ma, I'm never going to see this guy again. Forget it. He's got a girl in every port. He don't write back, blah, blah, blah. And my mother used to go, that's your husband. And I would say, what? And she would say, oh, no. Well, as soon as I met him, I knew that's your husband. Don't worry about you don't hear from him. He's thinking about you. You're on his mind day and night. He's coming back here. You're going to marry him. She would always say that.
And then you did.
And she would, And then, different jobs. She would tell me if I was going to get a certain job. She would tell me who to watch out with, different friends, where to go, where not to go, and, and all stuff like that.
And did you listen to her?
No. Of course not. What kid listens to this?
It's true, because I don't listen to my mom. I don't listen to you when you give me advice. Right. I try my hardest to make you wrong, even though you're not.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. You would go to these psychic meetings, whatever you call it, in the warehouses, and you'd all meet.
Yes.
Okay. Did you all communicate after that? Like, did you exchange numbers, or did it only happen in this?
No. We all became friends. My mother became friends, not me. I was 6. But because it was a weekly thing. Like every week they would meet, and every week they would, give little messages to each other. They would talk about their different gifts, because everybody has different gifts. They would talk about their experiences. We also went to Tremont Street. There was a tea room in Tremont, and I think they still have the tea room.
I think that they do too. I don't know.
Yeah. And back then, you would pay 50 cents, and you got a half a tuna fish sandwich, and you got a cup of tea. Now, this was wonderful because, and you would pick somebody. Oh, I want that lady over there to read me. And when she was done, she would come to the table and she would read your tea leaf. And I would watch her technique, and she would always be going like this with the spoon and looking. And of course, I had to look. I said, well, let me see in that tea thing. And I would look, and I go, yeah, but you missed this, and you missed that, and you missed this. And it was developing my gift because I was seeing
what she was seeing.
Right. Yeah. But over it.
So let me ask you that. So, okay, back to the meetup. I'm so just mind blown of these meetups. So back then the newspaper was a huge thing. Everybody got the newspaper. Right. If you advertised in the newspaper, I remember back when I was a little kid, when after my grandmother had died, you put, my mother she sold my grandmother's hutch. Dining room set. Right. And it was an Ethan Allen dining room set.
Yes.
And you put it in the newspaper. Yeah. And we were getting calls for literally a month straight over this dining room set. It's I remember Dad and whatnot being so upset, oh my God, the dining room set is sold. Right. There's no more dining room set. And literally the calls just kept coming and coming and coming and coming. It's the political calls now, right? So it's weird. It's weird to me that they had these psychic meetup groups, right? In the newspaper, which is today's version of Facebook or TikTok. Yeah. And only 5 people would show up. Only 8 people would show up.
That's all that was show.
So do you think that people were afraid to show up?
They could have been afraid to show up, because a lot of people didn't talk about it.
Did you register in advance or something?
No register. You just walked in and that was it, and you paid 50 cents to get in. It was always 50 cents. I don't know why, but 50 cents to get in, and it basically you just sat around and everybody talked. But it did help me. It did help me because, you think you're going, when you're a kid, why is this happening to me? Am I crazy? Because, back then, people used to go to therapists and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And, am I nuts? Am I possessed?
Well, were you scared, to tell Poppy? Were you afraid to tell people? Because Grandma Mary told, don't tell people?
No, I wasn't. No, remember, I went to Catholic school.
Oh.
The nuns. You could not tell a nun that you were seeing things no.
I didn't think of that. You're right.
Crazy. Not only that, but the nuns will hit you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They used to hit you, go in the corner, you're not being good, and all this and that. No, you said nothing.
Were the other people at this psychic meetup, were they accurate? Were they good? Did Grandma ever did she get readings herself?
She used to get little readings, yeah.
Did she give readings to other people there too?
Oh, yeah. We all did it. We all, we all did readings for each other.
And how long did it last? Like, how long were you there for?
We were only there an hour.
Oh, wow.
But it was once a week.
Could you ask a question? Could you be like, I'm here because I want to know what's happening with my husband, or?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
It was always stuff like that. Health, relationships, who's cheating on who, and all this and that. Yeah, we used to solve the world problems there. But the main thing for me was because I was so afraid of being in my house. And even now, like, I still have all the lights on in my house. I'm always nervous because the radio would go on by itself. The TV would go on by itself. Crazy things would happen. Now, but I used to always, from a little girl too, I used to know things. I don't know how I knew things, but I knew to go out, like when there was a full moon, I knew to go outside and I used to just stare at the moon. And I would see things in the moon, like I would see objects, like symbols. I knew the moon was healing for me because when I used to go in the moon, I would get a calmness. I would feel very calm. So I don't know how I knew this stuff. Things would come to me. I also knew about the angels from when I was little. Not from Catholic school, because I used to hear them and I used to see them. Now, I actually seen one angel sit on the end of my bed. And it was all white. And he had long dark hair. Didn't talk to me, just was watching me like this. And then he just vanished like that. And of course, I start yelling, Ma, the angel was here. And my mother used to go, really? The angel appeared to you? And it did. So I always had angels coming around me. And I think the reason why I did was because I had a lot of compassion for people. And I always felt like if I talk to somebody, I know instantly what's going on with them. And I know I have to pray for them. Or I try and start a conversation to try and help them with something. You know what I mean?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
And I was always like that from a little kid. So
when I was growing up, obviously, because you were there.
Yeah.
I would see and hear the spirits. I would hear voices. I had, the same thing that you had growing up. But the one thing that I found so amazing is that, like, me and my mom spent a lot of time with one another because my dad was out to sea. So we spent a lot of time just alone in the house. It was just me and my mom. We didn't have a big family. It was me and my mom. Then my sister came, but my sister came 6 years later. My sister was, young, so she really wasn't understanding. And what's weird is my sister has no ability whatsoever.
Right.
No ability whatsoever. And she doesn't want psychic abilities. She doesn't want, believe, if she did have it or had a little bit of it, she just has not tapped into it, touched it. She doesn't want anything to do with it.
Right.
And that's fine. But what was so interesting is that I remember, like, when things would happen, and, like, because there were times when souls would just come to me and you couldn't see and hear the things that I would hear.
Right.
I remember there were souls that came to you that you would see and hear that I wouldn't. They would only show themselves to you.
Right.
But what I found so interesting was about the times when we would hear things together in that house.
Right. Remember that time when we were in bed and we heard,
yeah, all of a sudden,
right in our faces.
That was the scariest time. Me and my mom so I used to sleep with my mom because I was afraid. My dad I was like, what, 6 years old?
Yeah, and I was afraid too. We were both afraid.
Well, my dad wasn't home, right? It was just me, my mom, and my sister. So we all slept in the same bed with one another. And cause I was afraid to go to bed because of the spirits. I never slept in my room. And the thing was that in the middle of the night, a soul came in. I felt this face right next to mine. It was a cold, and I heard like a spirit, like a blue in my face. And I woke up and I thought I was dreaming.
Right.
And I remember opening my eyes and, like, looking around the room, like, what the hell? And there's nothing there. And then all of a sudden, I felt a face come close to me and do it again. Yeah. And this time I shot up, and at the same time you shot up.
Right, because I felt it.
And I'm like, Mom, I was immediately crying. I was like, oh, Mom. And you're like, you felt it too. But the thing is that I was scared. And I'll never forget, like, the one thing that I found so amazing, like, I still find it amazing to this day, is that you were not afraid of anything. Growing up, you were never afraid of soul. Like, when we used to see shadow figures or souls, or, like, souls would come through that house and we would see things, and I would have the chills. I would have to have the lights on. I would have to, and that's why I slept with I was scared. You were never afraid ever.
Because I knew there was no danger. I knew that, the movies they show on TV, I don't know if, I think they're made up because I've never had any demonic things happen. There was never anything bad. I mean, yeah, they blew in our face. Yeah, they pictures fell off the wall, but there was never anything demonic. Never.
I just feel like I feel like when I feel this whole story, like when we first moved into our new house, the same thing happened. Like when we first moved into our new house later on, like years later, we'll get into that. But it was crazy because like we thought in the beginning, well, I thought in the beginning, I should say, that it was with the house that we lived in. I was like, I couldn't wait to leave our house, which my mom still lives in now. But I thought like, oh my God, it's this house, it's this house, it's this house. And it wasn't the house.
No, it was us.
It was us.
They were coming to us.
But let me ask you this. So grandma, when she was here, afterwards, like when I got...
She was afraid of nothing.
Really?
Yes, she was afraid of nothing.
So nothing, when these things happened, nothing scared her. And you said to me, like, I remember you sharing stories, like you had things that I didn't have happen. So of course I had the whispers and I had the talking and the man appearing and the coming close and feeling someone there and the being held down. I experienced all that. But like you had actually like objects move.
Right. Yes, I did. I had one time so I was laying in bed. I must have been about 12 at this point. Okay. I was laying in bed. And of course, every time when I got in bed, this happened. I couldn't move. The voices came and I didn't want to hear this one voice. This one voice kept telling me that I had to warn somebody. I had to warn a friend of mine about crossing the street. Something to do. I seen a street. They showed me a street. They showed me a car. And I had to tell her, watch out for this. I don't know what was going to happen.
No, did you like when you saw the street and you saw the car, were you familiar with that street? Were you familiar with that car?
No, I had no clue. It's just visions going like in your mind.
So you've never seen the street, you never saw the car. So it's not like something that you knew.
Because my friend didn't even live here. She lived in California. Okay. And she I don't know, she was a few years older than me. Okay. And so Lisa was living in California, and the reason why I knew this was because her mother was friends with my mother. It was a family friend type of thing, and we used to talk on the phone, and stuff like that. So that's how that was the connection. Okay, and I kept seeing visions in my head. I had to tell her, "Be careful, be careful." I don't know.
But did you know it was her or?
I didn't know it was her. They said a friend, something was going to happen, a girl. They kept calling her the girl. You have to tell her, be careful in the parking lot, be careful in the parking lot. But I didn't want to listen. And so the radio went flying across the room. The picture fell off the wall. My mother came running in the room. And at this point, as soon as my mother came in, then I could move. And I'm going, Ma, oh, the voice is telling me that I gotta help this girl. Something's gonna happen. She's in the street. Something about a street. Something about a car. But I don't know. Okay, fine. And then the next day, my mother gets the phone call from her friend that her daughter had an accident, in a parking lot with the car.
Was she robbed?
Yeah, she was robbed. Yeah, that was an assault. And she was, they took her handbag and stuff like that.
And beat her up, right?
Beat her up, yeah. But I didn't know, who, at that point, I didn't make the connection because they weren't saying the name. They weren't,
Did you feel like the minute that you heard the news, were you like?
As soon as my mother got the news, as soon as the woman says to my mother, something very bad happened, me and my mother looked at each other and we knew. And my mother told her that I had the vision of her daughter in a parking
She told
lot.
her?
Yeah, she told her. She goes, because this woman, her and my mother were very, very close. And my mother used to always discuss things with her. And my mother told her, yes, Angela had the vision, but we didn't know it was your daughter. We did not know. I didn't see her face in the vision. They just kept saying the girl, the street.
Do you think that if Like if you didn't yell for Grandma Mary, like if you actually listened, you think they would have told you like it was her, or like revealed that it was her? Like, do you think that you cut the vision off before you saw the whole thing?
I might have met. I don't know, because I was very nervous. When things start flying across the room, bitches are falling off the wall, you get scared. So I could have at that point like blocked it. You know what I mean? But as soon as the phone call came, me and my mother knew exactly. And I said to my mother, but I could have helped her. And my mother says, it wasn't your time to help her. It wasn't it wasn't meant for you to help her. That's all.
I got to tell you, it's crazy. Like, I remember like growing up and like when I was first, coming to my own psychic gift and learning about my own abilities and taking the step forward. And like, I think that what was so interesting was that because you all kept this so secret.
Yeah.
Like growing up, my mom told me, like when I was hearing voices, oh, mommy heard that too. Grandma heard that too. It's something that we have in the family. You never really called it. You never called it being psychic. You called it being able to hear, your spirit comes to you. That's what you used to tell me.
Yeah.
So we never labeled it. Like I know you never labeled it for me anyways.
Right.
Like I wasn't growing up. My mother didn't come in and say, oh yeah, you're psychic. Oh yeah, you're a medium.
Right.
It was not that. My mother always said, oh yeah, spirits come to us.
Right.
So our spirit's trying to reach you. This is the dead trying to reach you.
If we called it, because I don't think me and my mother ever said we were psychic. I don't think we ever said that. Like we used to just say, we're talking to grandma or we're talking to whoever. Like like we didn't say to each other, oh, you're psychic. We would just say, oh, your grandmother came to me yesterday, or something like that.
And like even growing up, like you never put the word, like I didn't know the word psychic or medium or like what that even was. Like I know you just said like spirit comes to us, be open. It's someone who had passed, a spirit. We never talked that word.
Right. Never, ever. No.
But what was so interesting to me was that like, as I started to get older and I started to like come into this gift, like I also wanted to know, and you explained, then I like got curious. I'm like, okay, so grandma was gifted in this way. You're gifted in that way. I would see and hear the dead. And I remember going and like, I was like, I remember asking you like, Mom, who were the people that you talked to? Like who were grandma's closest friends?
Right.
That would have known about this.
Her girlfriends.
But it's crazy because like years later, you gave me Grandma Mary's.
If you remember though, these certain people that I told you that she used to help through the years, they
wouldn't talk about it.
Right. They would not talk about it.
So I got my grandmother's my grandmother had a black book, a black address book, and it had everyone's name and phone number in it. And I remember going back and calling her friends, and of course they knew who I was. Like they knew that I was her grandson. And I called up and I just called them. And I was like, hi. I'm like, and I remember I called like Auntie Sophie. Yeah. And I was like, hi, Auntie Sophie. And Auntie Sophie would not talk to me about it. Because
she did not believe.
Auntie Sophie didn't believe?
Yeah, she did not want to believe. Like she never wanted to really hear about it. She used to. In fact, here's the thing, because we went to California. Yeah. Okay. And Sophie actually had a ghost in her house. And when we went to visit her and I stayed in my cousin Paula's room, the ghost was in the room. It was a little girl. And what happened was Sophie was friends with this ghost girl's mother when they were younger. And the girl, she died when she was like maybe 3. I don't know what happened to her, but she passed. And this ghost loved my cousin Paula. And so the ghost used to follow Paula around. And my aunt, when we were there, I says to my aunt, I says, I can't sleep in that room. And she says, why? I said, there's a ghost in there. There's a girl ghost. And her eyes got big like this. And she went, oh, there's no ghost in here. And Paula, my cousin, went, yes, there is, Ma. Yes, there is. You don't want to acknowledge it, but there is. I don't know if she was afraid of it or being Catholic. She thought it was bad. I don't know. But she used to get upset with my mother for doing it.
Well, I remember I called her up, and I mean at that time she was 80 something years old. Yeah. And I was I'm like, oh, hi, Auntie Sophie, and don't forget this over the phone. She's in California still, and I'm like, I'm just calling because I wanted to ask about my grandmother and all of this, and she said she wouldn't talk to me about it. She was just like, oh no, I don't really know too much about it. Oh, I don't really know. And I really like hammered her because you know me, I don't give up.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, did she show about cards? Because I remember something like that, but I don't really, I can't really talk about it. And she would not talk about it. And then I called my my grandmother's other friend, Vilma.
Right.
Who was very much, very proper, very prim. And I don't know. I don't think that did she tell her friend Vilma that she was psychic or not?
Yes, because my mother used to give Vilma readings.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I called grandma's friend Vilma and I asked her, and it's actually funny because when I started being public and doing mediumship, Vilma came to one of my events. And I was like, so like not expecting that because like Vilma was the type of person, she was like very like think of Jackie O.
Yeah, right.
Like just you would not expect her to see her at a psychic event and very prim and proper. And then I took that opportunity to ask her, and she said to me that, your grandmother just knew things. And she said like I said, well, give me a story. Tell me something. And she said, well, there was this one time, she says, where she was with her grandson and they were at the mall and there was this escalator and she was at the mall by herself with her grandson. Her grandson fell down the escalator and got hurt.
Right.
And at that time, there was no cell phones, no this, no that. And, when she got home, the first person that she had to call after being in the hospital was with the boy was my grandmother. She went to tell my grandmother what had happened. So she called my grandmother and Grandma Mary apparently said to her, who fell down the escalator.
Right.
And she says, and she was like, how do you know this? My husband's not even home. He doesn't even know that. And Grandma said, I knew.
Yeah.
And that like is what really stuck out to her. And then what was interesting too is that like, when talk about like not like back in those days, you didn't talk about it. Right. And then it was funny because when I first, started coming out with my gift and talking about being a medium and connecting with the other side, and I started to talk about what I could see and hear and feel. It was funny because that was the turning point. Like that was the time when, Long Island Medium had just come out, when like people were like more open to it. We had social media where like people were like, I think people were pulling more away from structured religion.
Right.
And just, we had people believing in anything that they wanted, right? In spirituality, and there was a lot of new age and whatnot. So I felt comfortable talking about it. Later on, right? Seeing that the people were open about it. So it's funny because all of a sudden, when I started coming out and being public about this, we had like long lost family members that came out that we hadn't bothered with.
Right.
And I remember cousin Janet coming in, and she came to my event, and cousin Janet I gave her a reading. At the time, at the time I read my own cousin, and what was crazy, you guys, is like maybe I met her when I was 3 or 4. I don't know, but I didn't know her. Like I knew she was my cousin, but I didn't know anything about her. And I gave her a reading, and her dad came through and whatnot. And what was so interesting about that is that afterwards she came to me and she said, Matt, she goes, what was weird? She's like, is that she remembered being a little girl, and she remembered like her parents talking about there being a psychic in the family and I was told this and she told me that and she told me this and she told me that. And then, when she was around, they would shut up and they'd be really quiet. Yeah. And then she would ask, who told you that? And they would never tell her who the psychic was. She had no idea. And she's like, now, Matt, that I see you doing this event, and I know, she goes, the dots are connected. Yeah. Like it's you. Like, like that's just not you, but like it was your grandmother, and now it's you. Like basically, now I'm seeing you do this, I know that was your grandmother that was a psychic that was hidden.
Well, Matthew, too, with you started giving really, really good readings to me when you were 3 years old. 3. And the things you told me made me like pay attention and say, whoa,
But what did I say? Like, because I don't remember those. So I remember there was a time like when you were crying, like there was times when I was crying and I was like, Mom, did I make you sad? And you were like, no, I needed to hear this, but I don't really remember.
Well, and I used to ask you, I never used to really tell you about my life when I was young, what I went through. It was more every day we were going.
How old was I like when all this happened, you think? Like how old was I when I first like started like giving little messages or like,
3.
Okay.
3. So one day, and I would test you, okay? So one day we're sitting at the kitchen table. You were 3 years old. You were so cute though. And I said to you, Matthew, somebody before mommy was with daddy, somebody gave mommy a ring. I says, and I'm kind of puzzled about this ring that was given to me. I says, can you tell me a little bit about it? Because what happened was I went to bed and I kept asking my mother about this ring because I could never wear this ring that was given to me. And she never would answer me. Because sometimes, they only answer you when the time is right, when you're ready to hear an answer. So it took years and years and years. And I had this vision in my head and I wanted to see what you had to say, right?
So you saw it in your own vision, so like it came to you.
Right. So I said to you, Matthew, and you were 3 years old, you were so cute. You're sitting at the table and I said, Matthew, can you tell me about a certain ring that someone gave? And I didn't tell you who gave it to me. I said, a person gave it to mommy. I says, can you tell me about this ring? Because I don't know what to think about it. And you looked up like this. You went just like this. You were looking up into the air. And then all of a sudden you looked at me and you went, Mommy, so there was this lady that used to like sit down. She was an old lady and she used to go like this, like near her head, like this. She used to make this. And it was my ex-mother-in-law. And she used to do pin curls. And pin curls is when like you go like this and you put the bobby pin in your hair. But you wouldn't know that because I never did that. And I went, yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about. You says, well, there was a boy. You called him a boy. There was a boy, her son, who gave you a ring. I says, yeah, what about that ring? Can you tell me about it? And you went, he took it out of his pocket like this and gave it to you. I went, yes, he did. You says to me, well, he didn't buy that for you, Mommy. That was a relative's ring. I think his auntie gave it to him. So I went, okay, the ring, my engagement ring, my first engagement ring that I could never wear because I had bad energy when I put it on. I hated the ring. He did not buy it for me. He pretended to buy it for me. His relative must have left it to his mother. And his mother must have said, oh, you got to give her a ring. Here, give her this ring. And he didn't even put it in a box. He took it out of his pocket.
I'm just more mortified the fact that you used me for free readings when I was 3 years old. Like I should really invoice you and charge you back.
So
how many times did you? We should come out about this. How many times did you use me for free readings for yourself when I was younger?
All the time. Because before I would do anything, I would always ask you. I'd run it by you. But I mean, you used to see things, and I used to sit there and go, wow. I mean, because you didn't know my life. You didn't know I was married before. You didn't know nothing because I never discussed this stuff with you. But you would describe my ex-mother-in-law to me. You would describe things that happen. You know what I mean? And I used to say, oh my God, wow, this is crazy. But yeah, you started at 3 years old and you were spot on. It was crazy. So that's why I always tell people, because a lot of people will ask me during a reading, oh, I have a child and my child's gifted. And I would say, yeah. And I would say, how old? And then I would ask questions. I would always say to them, where does your child sleep at night? Oh, he sleeps in his bed. He loves it. He's not afraid of nothing. Oh, yeah, he talks to the ghost all the time. I went, oh, okay. So he's not afraid. No. Okay. So does he hear things? Does he see things? Oh, yeah. Talks to them all the time. He sees them. He hears them. He loves them, Okay. So then I would say to them, well, he's not gifted. Oh, no, he is. Oh, no, you're wrong. He's gifted. I went, no. When a child is young and they're gifted, they don't really talk about it because they're afraid. They want their light on. They are afraid of the dark. I'm still afraid of the dark. They are afraid of the dark. They will not leave your side. They will follow you around in the house wherever you are. They don't want to be alone. They're not happy to get the messages. They are not happy. I said, and you have to question them. You can't give them an answer. You got to ask them, tell me about myself. Don't tell me about myself right now. What happened when I was young? What do you see Mommy like when she was a young girl? What happened in Mommy's life? Does anything stand out in your head about Mommy that happened to Mommy? They gotta tell you your deepest, darkest secret. And if they can't, they don't have the gift. They do not have the gift. They can't, because kids are sponges. They can be in the next room and they're listening to what you're talking to with your girlfriend or your mother or whoever. So even though they never met Poppy, they're hearing you talk, oh, Poppy did this, Poppy did that. That's Poppy's picture on the wall over there. So in their mind, they know what Poppy looks like. They know Poppy liked cars. They know Poppy did this certain job. And they're going to tell you, oh, yeah, I saw Poppy. This is what he looked like. And Poppy loved the cars. Oh, my God, he used to go on rides. No, they got to tell you something that Poppy did that no one ever talked about.
You know what's interesting is that, so a friend of ours, a colleague, James did a class with children, like a psychic development class, and he told like everybody was asking him like, oh, can you help my son or my daughter, whatever, and he like did this whole class where like he brought all these kids, and I remember I remember that one of the women that was there was telling me that like they must have like 25 kids or whatever in this class, and out of all of them, like who was running around, who's playing with the crayons, who's doing this, and out of the whole class, like there was only one kid that like really was like into it and picking up and receiving and like and like tuned in, tapped in.
Right.
And which was like so interesting to me. I've never done a class like that, but with children, but he did. And like, they like everybody, all the other kids like weren't paying attention, doing their own thing, like playing with crayons. And there was just this one kid that they all knew, like, and I feel like that's kind of what happened with you, is that like people just knew like that.
People just knew. Yeah. And like things would come to me like, see,
because mediums know, like let's just be real. Let's just be real for a minute. Yeah. Like I can tell, and you can tell when somebody is gifted. We can tell when somebody's gifted. You can tell when somebody has the gift. You can tell when somebody's good. You can tell when the connection's strong, when the connection's not strong. You can tell when people are, really tuned in and tapped in. And sometimes people, I don't want to say that because listen, everyone has some level of a gift, right? Exactly. But it could be just, a hunch or a feeling, or it could be full blown where you're seeing and experiencing all of these things. So, and sometimes people think that they have visions or whatever, but it's like either fears or anxieties, their own thoughts or what they want it to be. You can tell. And like, I think that what's so interesting about your story is that like when you were younger, people, these experienced mediums at the time, like they could see that in you.
Right. They knew. As soon as I walked in the room, they knew.
Now, let me ask you a question. Was there any famous mediums back in the day? Like, was there anyone that was famous?
Sylvia Brown. That's her name, right? That was the big one. Sylvia Brown.
Oh, you knew about Sylvia Brown?
Oh, of course I knew about her. Yeah.
Did you watch like Montel and whatnot?
Yeah, we used to watch her. Yeah, me and my mother.
Really? I didn't know she was on TV that long, way back when.
Yeah, she used to go on TV, and I think she wrote a book.
Yep, she wrote a book.
Because my mother bought all the books. She used to buy all books on that. She used to buy all books about aliens and UFOs, and because that was the thing back then. But me and my mother were always interested in all this stuff. I
think Sylvia Brown, like her or hate her, whatever you want to say, she was really, you got to give her the credit. She was the pioneer in all of this. She was the one that came on television. I think she was the first medium on television, right?
I remember her. I don't remember anybody else being on TV. Just her at the time.
I never watched any of her things. Like I know of her obviously because obviously I'm a medium, but I don't know about I obviously was too young to watch the show or whatnot. But what I think is so interesting, and I think that what people find so interesting is like obviously I do readings, right? My mom does readings, and people always think that we're the same. And even though that we receive information from the same source, all the information comes from spirit, the other side, the afterlife, right? Our loved ones, our angels, our pets. The thing is that what I really want people to know is that psychics and mediums have specialties, and no one has the same gift, right? Just like every teacher teaches differently. It's like, I believe there's a teacher for every person. Every person has to find their own teacher. They have to align with their own person. It's just what it is.
Now, my mother, this is how strong her feelings were, okay? So I'm going to give you an example what happened with me and my mother. So when I was 18 years old, I was going to a concert. I was on a date and I was going to a concert. It was in Providence. It was the Civic Center in Providence. And we had to park up Fedra Hill over the, where the bridges.
Yes. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So at the time we parked on that street over there.
Wait, on the bridge?
Yeah, like off,
where Camille's is?
Here's the bridge, and there was a street over here.
Camille's, where Camille's restaurant is, like Joe's Old Kids.
Yeah.
Excuse
me.
So
we were parked on the street, And then we had to walk to the Civic Center. Fine. Great. So then, as we were coming home, coming out of the Civic Center, we were getting in the car. Now, guys, this is a thing for you, and this is very important. When you're on a date or with your wife or whoever, when you are getting into the car, don't get into the car. Go and stand where the passenger is and watch that person get in the car and shut the door. Because this happened to me. My date, we both went to the car. He went to his side of the car. I went to the passenger side. He got in the car. As I was getting into the car, somebody came from behind, a guy, and was pulling me from the door. I was getting abducted, okay? And a good thing, my angels were with me because I held on to the door, like the door with all my might. And I started screaming, Stephen, 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 I'm yelling. And, duh, right? He's looking in the car and I'm going, somebody's got me. And he came, but this is at night. This must have been like 1 o'clock in the morning, after you get out of the Civic Center, right? So there was nobody else around. It was me and him in the car and this guy. And he got out of the car. And by the time he got out of the car, well, now the guy sees he's getting out of the car to run. And the guy let go of me. They went taking off. Stephen was running after him down the street. In the meantime, I'm in the car. I closed both doors. I locked the both doors. But there was no cell phones back then. No nothing. So I couldn't call nobody. And I just waited in the car. And I was crying and crying. In the meantime, my mother and father are home. And my mother started getting this sick feeling in her stomach. And she's going, Lou, Angela's in trouble. Something bad is happening. We got to get in the car. We got to go looking for them. And my father's going, she's on a date. Leave her alone. And he's going, no, something bad is happening to Angela. My stomach. And they got in the car and they were riding like around the Civic Center, looking for the car, looking all around. Finally, when I came home, Steve never caught the guy. They were running on fences and jumping fences and all this and that. He never caught the guy. When I got home and I walked through the door, my mother goes, oh, thank God you're home. Are you okay? And I started crying. And she goes, what happened? And I told her about I almost got abducted. And she says, I told you, Lou. I told you somebody was getting Angela. Something was wrong. And your father goes, yeah, we were looking all around. We were driving all over, the Civic Center and all like Chad Brown and all those areas. He goes, your mother kept saying, no, she's in the street. There's something with the street. But they didn't find me. But thank God. So when you're on a date or anytime, you always have to go to the passenger side and see the person get in the car before you get in the car. Always. And I'll never forget that as long as I live. And thank God everything turned out okay. But it was scary. That guy had me right, he had his arm right around like this. And I was just holding on, screaming. I was holding on to the door. It was a terrible thing.
So let me ask you this. So, and by the way, I'm so glad that, I'm so glad that you're okay.
Yeah.
Thank God. I mean, imagine, I just wish, hearing these stories, I wish, grandma did find you, right? Yeah. And I think that's, the hardest thing about being,
been dead.
No, but I'm saying, imagine if she just, pulled up at the car, at that exact moment. That's the toughest part about psychic ability is that, you wish, you could just, you would just know more sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very...
I think that's the hardest thing.
Freaky thing, The
hardest thing is when you get these visions, you're not sure, what they mean or how to help the person or what to do.
But that's how she used to get her visions. She used to get it very, very strong, very strong.
So what people don't really realize is that every psychic and medium has a specialty.
Right.
There's some mediums that are angel communicators. There's some people that are pet communicators. Some people that are medically intuitive. There's some people that can tell you about the future, past lives, you name it. Everybody has a different gift. And, in being a medium and doing what we do and the fact that with so many people, people don't realize that my grandmother had a different gift from you. You have a different gift from me. We all are completely different, which means our readings are different. And I so many people don't understand. They think that you do what I do and I do what you do. And what I tell people all the time, and I want you guys to really know this, is that you, because people come up to me all the time and say, Matt, I wish I was like you. like, I wish that I had the same gift that you have. I'm psychic, I'm a medium, but I'm not strong like you. I don't get the things that you get. And what I really want you to know is that it's not about that. Like, people say to me all the time, can you teach me to be like you? And the thing is that if I taught you to be like me, you're taking away from yourself. You have a better gift in your own way. There is no psychic or medium that is better than one another, right? Because we all pull from the same source, but it's all about how you pull from that source. So the reason why I'm saying this is that, you know, I see and hear the dead and communicate with the dead and pass messages. My mom's gift is totally different. Your gift is, you know, you are a life psychic. You do life psychic readings, which I want you to tell people what that means. But what's interesting is because somebody asked me the question the other day. They're like, I'm going to put you on the spot, man. I'm going to ask you this question and I want you to be truthful. And I'm like, of course I'll be truthful. They're like, who's better, you or your mother? Right? And I'm like, I can't say not because of the fact is you can't put two together. It's like trying to compare an apple or an orange. They're two different things. They're two different gifts, even though it's the same source. So like, for example, when there's something that's life happening, like my mom's talking about with like the car and like trying to figure something out or knowing what's going to happen in the future. Like my mom, you are more gifted than me when it comes to that. Like when it comes to future things and knowing about something and seeing something, like my mom gives me readings to this day. And if my mother says something, I take it to the bank. And there's sometimes when I come to you and I can't figure something out. And I'm like, Mom, I need your help with this. I can't figure this out. And just recently I came to you with a problem and I'm like, I'm having issues with this vision. Like this is what's going on. This is what I'm feeling. Like, can you put this? And you're like, let me meditate. And you were dead on. And dead on. And the thing is, I'm like, you know, I come to you, I come to my own. So if people ask me sometimes, do you ever go to a medium, Matt? Yeah, I come to my mom. And thank God I have a psychic in the family that I can go to when I need something, if I'm not seeing something clearly. And, you know, my mom comes to me about checking with my grandmother or my grandfather. So we feed off of one another. But I want people to really know what a reading is like from you. So like if you just take talk about like if they were to get a reading from you, what is it like? How is it different? You know, because a lot of people think that like they don't know what a life psychic is. They're so used to coming to a medium and hearing from their mom or their dad or whatever. They're like, well, what does your mom do? What is that reading like?
Here it is. Before I give a reading to anybody, I see your name and I will say your name in my head. But before a reading, I pray and I meditate. Okay. I pray and meditate. Now, when I meditate, I'm walking. Okay, because I'm seeing, hearing, feeling. I go by everything I see, hear, and feel. Then I close my eyes. Now, when I close my eyes, I see a color. Some people see auras around people. I do not see auras around people. I see auras in my head. So if a certain color comes to me, like let's just say, for instance, blue, light blue, I know that's the Blessed Mother. I know that there is something going on in your life involving family. You're having either an issue with a child or you're having an issue, you know, in the family, someone passed, a child passed, or you're estranged from your son, your daughter, something to that effect. I may see colors, like if I see the color green, Saint Michael. Saint Michael's a protector. Who does he protect? Well, he protects law enforcement, firemen, lawyers, anybody that makes government, you know,
contracts or things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I know there's an issue going on, some kind of legal issue going on in your life. And then I will talk to my mother, Mary Rose. She likes to be called Mary Rose. And I will say, okay, Mary, give me your visions. Show me how can I help these people? I know there's a legal issue going on. Is there a way they can resolve it? Who can you send me somebody? Show me who they need to talk to or what's going to happen. Will the outcome be okay? And I talk to her and I'm praying and I'm meditating and I'm asking my mom. So before I call you on the phone, I already know, before you even say anything to me, I already know what I'm going to say.
But can you talk about like your spread, like how you do your spread? Like I think it's so fascinating.
Yeah.
About how you do your spread, like what you say.
Yeah. So I do 3 cards each. Crowning you, facing you, lying at your feet, backs you up. 3 cards. then I have my line here. To yourself, to your home, to your wish, to which you don't expect, to which sure to come true. I do that 3 times. And then I do 3 cards in the middle. That's your surprise. So crowning you is what's going on right now. Facing you is what's to come. Lying at your feet, that's part of like the past, a little bit of the past. Backs you up means it's going to happen. It's no matter what's going on over here.
This is the end result.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
To yourself is what's going on in your home. To your home is what's going on in your home. To yourself, again, is what's immediately happening right now. Okay? To your wish, to which you don't expect. Okay, so you're wishing this, and you think it's going to happen this way, but there's a twist.
Okay.
Okay, and then what's sure to come true.
I love that you do this because I feel like when you do these readings, right? Yeah. And you have like all like to yourself, to your home, to your heart, to what's sure to come true, what backs you up. Like you cover all areas. And like, I think that's what I learned from you. Like people say like, what have you learned from your mom? Like how to do readings? And I really didn't put it together till we had this conversation, to be honest with you. But like when I do a reading for somebody, I make sure that like I touch on everything.
Right.
Everything. Like the reading has to come full circle. So like what's crazy is that like I've noticed with us, like people will come to us and will always say, if you watch my videos or whatnot, or me giving readings, always say, don't ask me any questions. Let's see what the spirit world says first. And then, at the end, they'll be like, okay, do you have any questions? And they'll go to their notepad or they'll go to their phone and they'll be like, oh my God, Matt, I had all these questions and you answered every single one of them without me even asking. And it's because the spirits already know, but also I think it's the intention. Like you've taught me to like ask the questions. Like when you're laying those cards, you're asking those questions of the spirits.
Right. And what's different between me and you that I tell my clients is I don't see health. I say, if you're asking health questions, you really got to ask my son, because you can pinpoint to people. I've heard you when you've told them they have cancer, they got to watch their colon, they got to look at this, the breast cancer, the this, the that. I don't see that. I couldn't tell you anything to that. And I don't know how a person passes. Like you can say to them, oh, they were hit by a car, this happened. I don't see that. I know they passed. How did they pass?
So, you're different with, like, you don't get direct messages from the departed. Like, they don't come through and say, like, oh, hi, I'm this person's mother. Or, like,
no, I get it from my mother. Just my mother, Mary Rose.
But you don't get, like, direct messages of, like, you get the messages about their life. Like, your specialty is life. Right.
But, like, let's say, but I will know that their father passed. I won't know how he passed. But if the father has a message for them, I will tell them, your father is worried about inheritance and you fighting with your siblings and he doesn't want that. Like, I'll get certain things like that.
I think what people don't realize is, like, the moment that someone signs up for a reading with you, and, like, I used to get so upset with this, and I still get upset with this, like, is that, like, the moment that you go and you, like, see that person's name and, like, they sign up for the message and you're like, okay, like, let's say it's, like, the name is, like Tammy, and you're like, oh, Tammy signed up for a reading. Like, the reading starts at that second, meaning that like your reading might be on Friday. You might have signed up on Monday, but my mom starts to get messages and you start to see things. And like, I'll know like that, like I'll come over your house some days and like, she'll have like the cards out, she'll have the notebooks there and she's writing things down. And she's like, oh, I got this client coming in on Friday. And like, you already have so many messages. And you know what kills me is like when somebody books an appointment and you've like literally the whole week you're downloading, you're getting information, you're getting this, that, the other thing, and then they cancel. They cancel and it's like you did all of that work, like you used your heart and soul. It took you all week long, and it's like, and I know my mom never gets upset. Like I love it when like he'll cancel, be like, Mom, like I get mad at you. I get mad at you. I'm like, Mom, this is why you can't do the reading. I'm like, until the person actually like commits and like is this and that, and like you have to like confirm the appointment before you do the reading. And you're like, I know, Matt, but the messages came to me. The messages came to me. Like I had to write it down. Like you tell the spirit world that. And what I love is that you always go, you'll take your notebook and you'll be like, you write the person's name down and you're like, if they call me again, I have it here. And how many times have you had it? We're like, okay, so it's okay that they canceled. It's okay that they didn't get a session because you know what? Like if they do call back, 2 years from now, the work's already done. The work's already done. It's like if somebody orders a desk and then they're like, oh, I don't want it anymore. It's like, okay. But what are so obviously you still do private readings.
Yes.
And I love that you do that. So for those of you guys who don't know, my mom's the only psychic that I recommend. She does private readings by phone. People call you from all over the world.
All over, yes.
But explain to me, like what are the top things that people come to you with? Like what are the top, because for me, it's about, people connecting with their loved ones who had passed. They want to know about people who had died. How did they die? How did it happen? What have you been seeing? What is
with me, it's mostly, I've been going with this person for a couple of years. Am I going to get a ring? Is he serious? Is he cheating on me? It's mostly love, romance, work. Are they going to relocate? Are they going to get this job? What kind of job, what kind of occupation do I feel they belong in? Are they doing the right thing? Inheritances, are they going to get the inheritance? Are they going to relocate? All stuff, daily stuff, mostly.
And what's interesting is that when me and my mom do a reading, I remember back in the day when me and my, before the TV show, before I was famous, before, I hate that we're saying that word famous. I don't feel famous. But, before I was I can't even say who I am. It's weird to say that, but before television, before touring, before all of this, me and my mom just used to do house parties where we used to go. We loved it.
And they were fun.
We had the best time at the house party. We would have cannolis and coffees, and we'd go to just people's houses and give readings. And it was interesting because we used to say, okay, Matt's mom does that. We just charged, I can't believe it was $25.
Right.
$25 for a reading. Right. And it's we used to go to these house parties and it's okay, well, Matt's mom does the life readings.
Right.
And Matt does the spirit world. Right. And the mediumship. So you do the psychic work, I do the mediumship. And we used to say, okay, who do you, we used to have a sign up list, and they'd be 25 people at the event. And we'd be okay,
who do you want?
Who do you want? And it was interesting, some people just wanted the mediumship, some people just wanted the psychic, but there was I want to say 50% of the people who wanted both. And they're I want to sign up for both. And they're because I want to see the difference. I want to see what she says and what you said. And it's interesting because
a lot of times we said the same thing.
Well, no, we always said the same thing. We always said the same thing, but it was it's always said in a different way. So for example, it was never I said you're going to have a boy and my mom says you're going to have a girl.
Right.
But it's the way that you say it. For example, I might say, oh, your grandmother's coming through and saying, oh, you're going to have that there's a baby girl that's waiting. And then you would say to that person, oh, I'm having a vision of a baby being born. I'm going to tell you what she looks like. She's going to have curly hair and she's going to like to do this and she's going to like to do that. And she's going to be obsessed with this and obsessed with that. And you would get more details in that, where I would just be able to tell you that there was a little girl that was coming in.
Well, there was a time too where when we were living in Boston, and my neighbor across the street, she was having a hard time getting pregnant. And I would go to her house and I would say, don't worry. I see 2 boys around you. You're going to have 2 kids. You're going to have 2 boys. And her husband was so upset. He said, get out of my house. My wife is upset. She can't have children. The doctor told her there's something wrong. There was something, she had a hard time conceiving. And I said to him, I'm sorry, but there's 2 boys and I see the spirits around. Well, he threw me out of the house. Okay. 3 or 4 months go by and I was working in my office and I went to look out the window and I seen the baby spirit near the window of their house. And I went running across the street and I told my neighbor, I said, oh my God, I had to come over here. And she goes, why? I said, because I seen the baby spirit. She goes, oh, you're scaring me. You're scaring me. I said, why? She says, wait, I didn't tell you something. She went in the car. She had just gone and showed me the sonogram. And I went, you knew you were pregnant and you didn't tell me? Well, I said, you should have told me. That's what I do. So anyways, when I was looking at the sonogram, I saw, she was not having twins, but I saw another baby spirit.
Waiting.
Wow. In the sonogram.
I remember this.
And I said to her, I said to her, you're going to have another baby right away. Boom. I said, it's another boy. And she went, that's in there? I went, no, you're not having twins. You're going to have another one right away, and it's another boy. And she had what they call Irish twins. Mm-hmm. About 10 months later, she was pregnant again, and she had the 2 boys. But I see things. I don't know. It just comes to me.
But what I love so much is I was just talking to, this woman the other day, talking about how me and my mom get different information. So I was talking to this client who's a very good client of mine, and she was we were talking and I was doing a reading for her. Yeah. And when I was doing this reading for her, her mother came through and said, I see that you feel lonely. I see that you're alone. And she's like, I want you to know that you haven't met your soulmate yet.
Right.
Your soulmate is out there. You haven't met your soulmate yet. Like, and I want you to know that, like, you need to open yourself up and you need to meet this, you have to open yourself up to meeting because your soulmate's still out there. And I remember her saying to me, well, I'm with somebody, but I'm kind of not with somebody. Like, he's in my life. He's out of my life. Like, I hear from him a little bit and then I don't. And I'm like, yeah, your mother said that you don't, this isn't your soulmate. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, your mother tells me you haven't met your soulmate yet. And she was like, are you sure that's what you're saying? I'm like, yep, this is what your mother's telling me. Well, anyway, long story short, she said to me, at the end of the reading, she's like, it's funny. Your mother said the same thing. She goes, I have your mother's notes from my reading. She goes, in that cabinet right there. She's like, I read it every week. And your mother said, she said it in a different way. You said he's not your soulmate. You said that you haven't met your soulmate yet. My mom's coming through and telling me this. But your mother specifically said to me, you're dating a guy right now. He is playing you. Well, you say the words. You say what you told her.
I told her, I says, you're dating a guy right now, but he's a player. He's not for you. He's seeing other women. And I described the other woman to her. And she went, well, yeah, he's got friends. I said, no, he's seeing them. I don't know what he's telling you. I said, but he's seeing them. That's not the guy for you. Yeah, but and she was trying to she's going to, yeah, but things can change. And I went, no, you got to leave him now. I says, why put yourself through this? There's somebody out there. You're going to meet him. I described the person she would meet. I said, that will be the person that you're going to meet. I said, your soulmate. This is not your soulmate. Don't waste your time. Call him on the phone today. Say we're through.
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you, it's like it's so hard to do. It's so hard to do when we all know, like intuitively, like she knew. She knew, but like a lot of times we don't want to know, especially when it comes to love, because like our heart is just in a different place.
Yes, and I always tell the people, I always say to them, listen, I tell you the truth. A lot of times you don't want to hear it, but I'm telling you the truth. So this way, don't waste your time. At any age, life is so precious. You don't want to waste your time, because when you meet the right person, you can have a beautiful family, a beautiful life. Why waste it on someone who doesn't care about you?
Well, that's the thing. One thing she said to me, she goes, I just want to tell you, she goes, that I trust you and your mom.
Yeah.
Because I know that you're going to tell me the truth. She goes, and I know that you're not going to sugarcoat. I know you're going to tell me the truth, even though it's not what I wanted to hear. And that's why I booked the session.
Yeah.
So you guys, I want to tell you, I don't do private readings anymore. I just can't. I am on tour. I am literally, from filming this podcast to writing books to doing my newsletter to filming to being on tour to doing everything that I do. It's just, if I could do it, I would. There's no possible way. I haven't done it in years now. But if you're interested in a life reading, my mom does life readings, and you can find her on my website.
Yes.
And you can find her on her own website, meetangelafraser.com. So if you're interested in a reading, meetangelafraser.com is where you can go to book it. And I got to tell you that what I love so much that you taught me, and what I think that people really love about our readings, is that you've always taught me that you can deliver bad news. You can tell people the truth. You have to tell them the truth. But as long as it comes from your heart and it comes from a good place.
Exactly. You always do it for the good of mankind.
And you treat people like your own family. Like, when I do a reading, I treat people like you're my sister, like you're my brother-in-law, like you're my cousin. Like you get the same person every time. And I think that's why people come to us, why our clients are drawn to us. And I want to thank you for giving that to me.
Oh, you're welcome. I love everything you do, Matt. I just think you're my angel. That's all.
Well, don't say too much, because my sister's listening and I don't want to get mad. But I want to thank you, Mom, so much for being on here with me. This was so much fun.
It was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. Thank you for joining me. Well, you guys, this was another episode of Undeniable Proof. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Bye-bye.